am so excited to be introducing our keynote speaker. I could go on and on and on. Kristel is truly one of my closest friends and has taught me so much about resilience, about friendship, about vulnerability. And she's a very important person to the stuttering community, so this is a very well-deserved honor. Kristel is a speech-language pathologist. She works in New York City public schools, very talented. She runs beautiful clubs, such as a disability club, something I had never heard of, where children are actually proud to accept their disabilities. She was also instrumental in creating the Stuttering Pride and Prejudice flag. She's been featured in several books, including Stammering Pride and Prejudice, has some upcoming chapters, and a lot of other exciting things. And I'll tell you this about Kristel. Kristel says no to nothing. So if you say, do you want to go hang from the chandelier at this goth party? She says, sure. Let's go do that, okay? So Kristel is just this amazing person that just tries everything and embraces everything, and I don't think we could have a better keynote speaker. So I am very proud to introduce my good friend, Kristel Kubart.
Thank you, Heather. I feel like crying already. I am so honored to be here today as your keynote speaker for the 29th Friends Conference. I've actually been volunteering with Friends since 2006. And now it's 2026, so that's been 20 years. Thank you. So it feels very like full circle and very special to me to be up here today and be talking about my story. So I titled my talk, Finding My Authenticity, a journey to embrace my body and my voice. The reason I mentioned my body is because in addition to being a person who stutters, I also have a physical disability called cerebral palsy. So I'm going to be talking to you guys about my journey with both and what it was like growing up with two disabilities. So growing up with CP and stuttering, I got a lot of unwanted attention. Because it's not that often you see a little blonde girl, walking with her foot turned in on her tiptoes. And it's also not that common to see that same girl, like super duck, closing her eyes with all this tension and not able to say her name. So I got a lot of stares. I got a lot of people laughing at me. I got a lot of double takes, like, what's going on there? And I still do. I still get a lot of those. But what's interesting is that growing up, actually I found my CP easier to deal with than my stuttering, which some people find fascinating. But I think it's because of this. It's because of the way it was explained to me. So as a little girl, I was told that I had cerebral palsy at a young age. My mom told me when I was 6, and she was like so scared to tell me, but my physical therapist told her she's got to do it. And I was coloring in my coloring book, and she told me, and I was like, oh, that's what it's called, And I went right back to coloring. But I was told that I would always have it, which allowed me to work on it without trying to cure it. And I knew that I could accomplish many things, but that I would have to do them differently than non-disabled people. I was different, but whole. And I think that this is kind of the way we should approach stuttering, too. And what's interesting is that even though stuttering runs in my family, I still had this strong urge to not stutter and to hide it. But my wonderful dad stutters too. There we are, looking so cute. I love my dad. And my dad stuttered in a way that he is just like really talkative, told great stories and jokes, and I would look at him and admire him, but think, I can't do that. I'm just a shy little girl, and I get super duper stuck, and I just got to figure out how to not stutter. I felt like it was something I should be able to fix, and I let the fear of stuttering and being judged for stuttering hold me back from many, many things. You guys know what this is like. And spoiler alert, learning that it's okay to stutter truly changed my life. Here's a little video of me and my beautiful mom, so you can see me stuttering as a little girl.
Anything else? Oh. No. No, nothing.
Isn't that cute? What I find so interesting about seeing that is, like, even as a little girl, my choice was to just give up. You know, I can't get this word out, I'm just going to stop talking. And that's what I kind of continued to do. And no shame to my mom. My mom's amazing. I am who I am because of the love from my parents. How is she supposed to know what to say in that moment? I don't even know if she recognized that I was stuttering, you know? It's like, you don't know until you know. So no shame. Everyone comes to things when they do. I really feel that way. Okay, bear with me, you guys, but I want to share a little bit about ableism and internalized ableism, because learning about this helped me understand so much about why my journey with having CP and stuttering were so similar. Because ableism is just like out there in the world, and it's like baked into our society, and it refers to the bias, prejudice, and discrimination against people with disabilities, and it hinges on the idea that people with disabilities, or people who are even perceived to have disabilities, are less than non-disabled people. And internalized ableism, this is what really helped me understand, is when a disabled person discriminates against themselves and other disabled people by holding the view that disability is something to be ashamed of or something to hide. So I don't know if that sounds familiar to you guys, but yes, this feeling like, oh, there's something different about me, it makes me less than, and I need to hide it, and I feel really bad about myself. So I remember learning about the social model of disability and how, like, we get all these messages from society that it's not okay to be disabled. And I was like, I don't know. I feel like it's coming from inside of me. I didn't really get it until I learned about this internalized ableism thing. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you guys some stories about what it was like growing up. I'm going to first talk about some stuttering stories and then some CP stories. And they're all about shame and silence. Okay, so we'll start with some happy things. So I love getting my nails done. I'm from Long Island. I didn't mention that. It's part of the culture. And so, you know, growing up, I did it to kind of fit in. But now I love being creative and silly. So I get holiday nails. Every year I do back to school nails, because Heather mentioned I'm a school speech therapist. And I say I do it for the kids, but I really do it for myself. I've done pencils and buses and silly things like that. I even have got friends nails and friends nails and friends nails. I have them now because I love friends so much. Yeah. And like I said, ever since I was a teenager, I went to the nail salon, and one opened up around the block from where I grew up. I was very excited I could walk myself there and, like, you know, spend my hard-earned babysitting money on getting my nails done. I walk in, and all the polishes are over there, and the lady says, pick your color. But then, you know, it's my first time there. Of course, she asked my name, which by this point was my most feared question. I'm sure many of you guys could relate. I had had so many bad experiences of getting so stuck that I was convinced that I couldn't say Kristel without getting extremely blocked and feeling so much shame. And I've had people say, "Did you forget your name?" Or they would guess and they'd say, "Kristen?" And I'd say, "No," and I wouldn't want to say Kristel again, so I'd say, "No, not N, L." And they'd be like, "Listen?" So to avoid all that, I tried to think quickly, and I said my name was Anne, which is my middle name. And it's also my mom's name, so it felt like less of a lie in a way. And but you know, these places, if you go back, they all learn your name, and they're all like, "Hey, Kristel," yeah, you know, "Hi, Kristel," and like, it's constant. And so that's what happened. I would go back every week, and everyone would say, "Oh, sorry," they would, "Hi, Anne." I forgot, I'm Anne to them. "Hi, Anne, hi, Anne." It must have gotten so normalized that I forgot how weird it was. And then I invited my mom to come. I know. And as soon as I walked in the door, I was like, "Oh, God. Oh, God. I forgot." And it's really sad to think about because my mom turns to me and she says, "Why are they all calling you Anne?" And I was so ashamed and then thought it was just so weird that I told them my name was Anne that I just was like, I don't know. I know, it's sad because my mom was my best friend and I didn't even feel like I could tell her. But you guys know this doesn't come out of nowhere. All of the shame sort of builds over time. And I remember that there was a time in like second grade that I was stuttering my butt off, and I didn't even really react to it all that much. And I had lots of friends, and I was talkative. And I even remember bringing my favorite book to class and reading "If You Could Give a Mouse a Cookie," and I just was like on cloud nine. But then by third, fourth grade, I definitely started comparing myself to the other kids. And that can be, it doesn't necessarily go gradual. It's like logarithmic, you know, all of a sudden you're reacting to your stuttering in this really negative way. And so I got more and more and more stuck. And one of the hardest memories in fourth grade was I'd worked really hard on this book report. I was a real nerd, you guys. I wanted to get an A+ on everything. And so it was, and I loved the book. It was like, a horror story. I like horror stuff, and like a mystery, but there were ghosts involved. And I had to make a diorama in a shoebox. I don't know if they still do that, but I was into it. And I drew all the little characters, and I incorporated. Remember in fourth grade you learn about electricity? And they give you a little like light bulb, and you attach it to the battery. I like incorporated that as the flashlight. I was so proud. And so walking up to the front of the room, I was feeling proud of my project. And I was going up there on the wish and the hope that maybe I wouldn't stutter so much. But as soon as I saw the eyes of all my classmates, I totally froze up. And I was stuttering extremely hard on like every word. Words you don't even normally stutter on, like it and the. And I look up, and in the back of the room, you know, near the window, some of the boys were like covering their face, like trying to hide their laughter. And I said so much less than I wanted to say. And I remember walking back to my seat and just having my head held down and just waiting until the teacher started talking or someone else was going, and so I could feel the eyes leave me. And like any time after that, if I could avoid stuttering, that's all I cared about, you know. I said a different name. I switched words. I just didn't talk much at all. I like literally learned to like cream cheese because I didn't think I could say butter. And obviously I can say butter, I just stutter on it. But like I loved cinnamon bagels with butter, and I had to, oh, it was terrible. Anyway, but you guys know these stories of shame and silence, but you may not know a lot about what it's like growing up with CP. So, as a little girl, I just loved to play. I loved to be in my body. My mom tells me stories about like playing with the kids in my neighborhood and my brother and running, and I would fall right on my knees and I would just pop back up and run again. And I always had Band-Aids on my knees because my balance was never so good. But like Heather said, I just love life. And you can't like knock the joy out of me, really. So even though things were hard, I always tried. I always like played in gym class. The gym teachers would like meet with my parents and be like, yeah, she like tries, you know? And it's hard for me to tease out, right? How much of that was wanting to play and how much that was just wanting to be like everybody else. Because it was a lot like stuttering and wanting to be fluent. Having a physical disability, it's a lot of feeling like you just want to be able to do what everyone else is doing and not be held back. So it was always really devastating to me, extremely devastating when something was hard and when other people could see that it was hard. So kind of like being found out. Like the other story about presenting and stuttering, that was like being found out. And in this story, like I told you the story about running and gym, just so you know, like I wanted to do these things. There was a pool in my high school, unfortunately. And we were forced to do it for a whole semester. We did swim and did gym class. And honestly, I was a little excited, you know. I liked pools. They reminded me of being on vacation with my family. I had this little black bathing suit and my short blonde hair. And I remember like lining up next to the pool with my little towel around me, feeling scared, but slightly excited, until we got in. And our gym teacher treated it almost like everything was a race. You know, like we were practicing laps and things. And the worst was when they handed out the kickboards. Do you guys remember kickboards? The blue, yes. Okay, I'm not the only one who hates kickboards. But for me, holding on to this piece of plastic and only being able to use my legs to propel myself taught me that I can't go anywhere. I'm just trying to kick. It was amazing. I actually didn't realize this. A lot of my CP was like in being in denial and trying to pretend it wasn't there. So this was upsetting. I remember kicking off up the side of the pool and just kicking as hard as I could and literally going nowhere. And the whole class was halfway down the pool at this point. And I felt so scared and so much shame. That I like put my feet down and I would walk a little bit and kick again and, you know, it's like hoping no one would notice. But it was just too hard for me. So I remember going back, you know, into the locker room and crying in the shower and then telling my mom, like, this is just too hard, and having the physical therapist write me a letter, and so I didn't have to do it. But that didn't necessarily make me happy. I was sitting on the side of the pool watching all my friends swim, and like to add insult to injury, that what they had me do instead was what kids had to do when they forgot their gym clothes, which was they must have had a stockpile of these. You had to read an article about someone who drowned and then write a reflection paper for a whole semester. I know. And so, yes, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. So a lot of this shame and this feeling different really, I say in the beginning I was like different but whole, but a lot of the ableism and the shame really, really sunk in. So I sort of dealt with my CP in a similar way to my stuttering and just like trying to be as able-bodied as possible and having it not always work out so well. I put this story in here because I just wanted to talk, obviously all of this continues, sadly, through middle school, high school, and this is where I went to Cook College. I went to the College of the Holy Cross, and I still tried to put myself out there. I was, like Heather said, I just like to do everything, you know? And so, like, in high school, I was on the badminton team, and I only hit the birdies that came right to me, and I felt a lot of shame about that, but I still did it. And then in college, I tried being on the crew team, which is rowing. I thought it was mostly like upper body, but it's not. So that was that was a failure, but I tried. And then they sent out this campus-wide email to everybody saying that they were looking for a new manager for the basketball team. And my roommates were like, oh, wouldn't this be hilarious if Kristel tried to do it? And I was like, oh, you can't challenge me, I'll do it. So I went down there. I don't remember what I said on the interview. All I remember was what I didn't say. I didn't mention the reason why I wanted so badly to be one of the managers was because I have this physical disability, and I feel like an athlete, and I wish that I could be on a team. And so I feel like as soon as I got back to my dorm, I got an email saying I didn't get the job. And I was like, oh my goodness, it's all because I wasn't vulnerable. So I wrote back, and I told them about my CP, and then they wrote back immediately, you got the job. So they must have wanted to give me a chance, and I was able to do it, even though it was very physical. My foot was turned in, I was on my toes, but I was still handing out the water and the towels and, at the timeouts and filling up the little glasses of Gatorade at halftime and all that stuff. But the sad part, and the part that really stayed with me, was the stuttering, because both were with me at all moments. And, these players on the team were like gods on campus. They were very talented. They went to the NCAAs. They won the Patriot League championship 3 years in a row. And I was just, in general, scared to talk to boys in general. Like, I couldn't. I was convinced that no sound would come out. So I would avoid them. Even as they were approaching me, I would, kind of walk the other way. So a lot of my memories before helpful speech therapy were filled with like this cloud of sadness about shame and hiding. All right, let's get to happier moments. So turning points. I'm going to tell you about the first time I ever went to a stuttering support group. Like I said, I'm from Long Island. And after college, I had done a year of volunteer work in California. I had a lot of adventures, but still a lot of shame about my stuttering. And so I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. I don't know how to handle the stuttering thing. I'm just going to move home to Long Island, figure it out. And I found a support group online, and I just was cold calling it. I just saw the address. I'm going to just drive there. And I got so lost. You guys, I'm old. I'm 44. There was no GPS at the time. And I had the printed out MapQuest directions. And I'm driving, and I'm passing all these houses, and I'm like over the highway again. I'm like, I must have missed it. I turned around like 3 times. And I finally see this one house that had a parking lot in front. And there was a woman standing in the doorway with a light behind her. And I walk up to her, and I said, I'm looking for some guy named Lee. Lee and I used to giggle about that all the time. I'm looking for some guy named Lee. And she's like, that's me, I'm Lee. And she walks me in, and there's kitchen on the right and the waiting room. And we get into her therapy room, and there's a table with all these chairs. And Lee is pissed off because here I am, very first time going to support group, and no one there stuttered. It was just Lee, the speech therapist who founded Friends, just so you know, and me. So she was so upset that no one who stuttered was there, but I could care less because I got to talk to Lee for like an hour and a half. And she was the first person I ever to talk to who really understood all the under the iceberg stuff about stuttering. And there was something about Lee that made me feel safe enough to tell her all of those stories that were on my heart that I had never told anyone, about all the shame and the hiding and the fear and the loneliness. And I don't remember exactly what we talked about, but I remember her saying to me at some point, she was like, do you ever think it might be okay to just let yourself stutter? And I was sort of taken aback, and I was like, no. I had never thought of that ever in my entire life. But something about it resonated at that time. I think I was ready to take in that message, and I liked it. So I was like, she also was telling me a lot about speech therapy and what that could be like, because I had no idea. It could be more about accepting your stuttering and stuttering openly and stuff. And I said to her, I think I want to be a speech therapist. And she said, that's great, but you've never had helpful speech therapy. So then I started going to speech with Lee. One of the things that helped me the most in speech therapy, because I was so covert, so trying to hide all the time, Lee told me about this thing called voluntary stuttering, which is when you stutter on a word that you wouldn't have even normally stuttered on, and you're doing it on purpose. And Lee presents this to me like at the end of a session, like, this is something you might want to try. And you guys know me, I'm a real go-getter. So I went out there that week, and I was going into Manhattan for some reason. I took Penn Station into the city, and I went to the pizza place I always used to go to. I was like, okay, I'm going to do what Lee told me to do. I'm going to order a pepperoni pizza. A pepperoni pizza. And I go up to the guy. I must have seemed really nervous. And I said, can I have a pepperoni pizza? And, you know, the guy goes, oh, you want a pepperoni pizza? And I was like, oh, God, I think I did it wrong. And I was pretty devastated, but I ate my pizza. And then I was like, I'm going to try this thing again. So I literally walked next door to Starbucks, of all places. And I must have needed my caffeine fix. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get what I always get, but I'm going to stutter on it. I'm going to order a caramel macchiato. A caramel macchiato. At this point, I had built up so much fear around the whole thing that I just blocked completely. It turned into a real stutter. And I ordered a caramel macchiato. And then they asked me my name to write it on the cup. And I stuttered really hard on that too. And I don't know if I felt like a failure, but I definitely felt upset. And I go back to Lee's office and I tell her the story, and she apologizes. She's like, I probably shouldn't have sent you out there like that, you know, without practicing or whatever. But she says, you know what? I still think it's going to be good for you, but I want you to call my son, Mike Caggiano. Lee started this entire organization, Friends, because she has a son who stutters named Mike. And I had heard so much about this Mike person from Lee in speech therapy that I felt like I was calling a celebrity. I was so scared. You know, I'm living at home with my mom and dad. I'm in my childhood bedroom, like pacing the light green rug. Oh God, I gotta call Mike. Okay, I'm scared. And I dial the phone, he's so nice. And I don't remember exactly what was said, but one of the things he said to me that helped a lot was he's like, you know, I voluntarily stutter to just show them that I stutter. And, you know, it sort of like puts me at ease and puts them at ease too. And I don't know, I'm a very externally motivated person. I was like, oh, that gave me more of a reason to do it. I could like make them feel like it's okay, and then I feel more okay. So I tried again and again and again. I did a lot of voluntary stuttering. for a long time, and I still do. I still voluntary stutter every time I order food or meet a new person. But it was hard, and I wanted to show you guys a very special video I have of Lee doing speech therapy with me, talking about this journey of trying out voluntary stuttering, and that it was a struggle at first. And I had this video because Lee used to use it in her classes. She taught about stuttering, and it was like one of the how to work with adults who stutter videos. So here we go.
I'm trying to understand, what do you think helped it click?
I think it was the struggling with it and really, maybe not struggling. I think it was the talking to other people, and it just took time, and I really had to, like, it just clicked. I don't know. Sometimes you don't know why things all of a sudden click.
I think it makes so much sense that maybe you did have to struggle with it first, because isn't that's what getting comfortable with something is. Seeing how uncomfortable you are to start with.
Isn't that nice? Yeah, I love Lee. Wasn't she such a good speech therapist? So yeah, and so I want to share a little bit more about voluntary stuttering and the many reasons why it's so helpful. I used to work for the American Institute for Stuttering, and during the pandemic, all the staff members made a little video about something we're passionate about. So I made mine about voluntary stuttering, and I was very proud of it. So I'm going to show you guys. Here we go.
Hey everyone, my name is Kristel, and I'm a staff member at the American Institute for Stuttering. Today I've decided to talk to you guys about voluntary stuttering. Voluntary stuttering was something that really changed my own stuttering journey, as well as many others. If you don't know what it is, voluntary stuttering it is when you choose to stutter in conversation with someone on a word that you may have not normally stuttered on. You're doing it on purpose. You're doing the thing that maybe for so much of your life was the thing you most didn't want to do, which is stutter. And you're actually choosing to do it in a moment where you didn't have to. It's a pretty big and brave choice, but it has a lot of benefits. For me personally, I came into speech therapy wanting stuttering to not be such a big thing in my life. And I didn't realize that the way to that is to actually stutter more. Voluntary stuttering allowed me to disclose to the person that I'm talking to that I'm a person who stutters. So if I chose to stutter on purpose at the beginning of when I met someone or at the beginning of a conversation, I personally would feel less pressure to not stutter because it was already out there. They already knew that I stuttered, which was a really big thing. Another thing that it gave me is it helped desensitize me to my own stuttering. It helped to desensitize me to how it feels to stutter and how it even feels to look at someone while I'm stuttering. That was huge because before then I would always look away and feel ashamed when I stuttered. But when I voluntarily stuttered, because I was doing it on purpose, it gave me a little bit more courage to look the person in the eye. And it taught me that most people just listen patiently. And some people might laugh or make that face that they don't know what's going on. But something about the fact that I was stuttering on purpose on my own terms allowed me to take that information in and learn from it. And over time, I felt like it's okay to stutter. And if someone laughs or makes a face, it's mostly because they don't understand stuttering. And there's nothing wrong with me as a person who stutters. And that's all I really had to say. I'm way over time, but happy Stuttering Awareness Week. Hope you guys are doing well. Bye.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I like it too. And I really, really mean it, you guys. Like when someone laughs or makes a funny face, it's much easier for me now. because I've really learned that it's okay to stutter. And I wanted to tell you a voluntary stuttering story about when I first got home from grad school. I went to grad school at Purdue University, and now I'm back home in New York. I'm going to my very first apartment party with people I barely know anyone, and I'm excited because I have this new career, and I'm really proud. And I worked really hard on my outfit, and I was feeling good. And it was one of these really crowded parties where people sitting on the arms of the couches, and I was talking a lot and feeling happy. And then, as I'm talking and stuttering, girl, I think she might have been blonde. I don't even know. Must have blocked it out. Starts imitating me. She was imitating my stuttering, and I was like frozen. I can't believe it. I'm having fun for once and talking for once, and I'm getting imitated again. And I can't believe this is happening, but it feels a little different, right? I've done so much work on this stuttering stuff, and that I'm able to kind of look around. And I see that her meanness registered on other people's faces as well. And, I think pretty fast in the moment. I'm kind of proud of myself. And I think to say to her, oh, do you stutter too? Thank you. It's a true story. And she was like, she looks around and she goes, no. And I literally said this. I was like, oh, that's too bad. I actually have this amazing group of friends who stutter. And I get to go to all these stuttering conferences with hundreds of people, and they're so amazing. And it's just the best thing, and we have this thing in common. It's too bad. And my heart was racing, even though I was believing in everything I was saying. And I'm sort of oh, what's going to happen next? You know what happened next? The circle gets even smaller, and everyone's getting closer to me because they want to hear more. They're so interested in what I'm saying. And I become the most popular person in the room, and the girl is just in the corner, like she sucked on a lemon or something. And it's true, though, you guys. It's not just the voluntary stuttering and the open stuttering that makes me feel brave. It's you. You pop into my head every time I stutter and have a tough moment. I tried to put all my close friends, and if I forgot anyone, up in the corner is the entire friends community, because you're all in my mind. It's a big part of my journey is you guys. And of course, my husband, Jason. I want to talk a little bit about him, because when I met Jason, I was in a very good place with my stuttering, But truthfully, I never know if I was ever going to find love. That was there was a whole story I had in here about the struggle with dating. But it was really hard for me. I had very low self-esteem. And a lot of that had to do with the stuttering and with the cerebral palsy. And just deep down, I felt a lot of shame about the way that I walked and the fact that I was different in this way. And a lot of people like me because I'm bubbly and nice, but Jason really saw me, not just the shiny parts. He seemed to be equally, if not more, interested in the deeper, not so shiny parts. And at the beginning of our relationship, I was actually injured. I had fallen a year ago, and my knee was still injured, because when you have CP, sometimes it takes a while to get better. And I felt a lot of shame about the fact that I couldn't walk a lot. And on one of our first dates, You know, he took me to Pebble Beach, which is a place in Brooklyn in between the Brooklyn Bridge and the Manhattan Bridge. It's actually where we got engaged also. But I was so sad that we couldn't like walk around more. And he goes, can I just give you a piggyback ride? And he started piggyback riding me around Manhattan, you know, on the regular. So this guy was special. And also I remember looking through pictures with him, and my left leg is like much skinnier than my right leg because my left leg is more impacted by my CP. And I had a lot of shame about that. And he was like, that leg? That's my favorite leg. That's the best leg in the world. And so just things like that. And I had been working on my own shame around my CP before that also, but he really like jump-started it a lot. And just like looking back, my CP journey has been very similar to my stuttering journey in that it was all about being more open. I mean, I've known some of you a long time. I used to be very closed off about my CP. I'd be like, yeah, I stutter, blah, blah, let's talk about stuttering. Don't talk to me about my CP. Yeah, I would give off that vibe, you know. And now I try really hard to be much more open about both, and to do things like ask for help if I need it. I used to just push through, try to be like everybody else. And so that's been a big difference. And it's like a similar thing. Like, for example, so sometimes if it's a little hard for me to cross the street because maybe there's ice on the ground, other people are just able to do it, it's hard for me. And I used to like sit there and wait for Jason to come help me, but now I'll ask a stranger and I'll say, hey, I have a disability, I'm a little worried about falling, can you help me cross the street? And they're like, of course. And I say, well, you know, they get me there and I say, thank you. And they say, no, thank you. That was the best thing that happened to me all day. You know, people like it. People love vulnerability. And it's taught me so much about that it's okay. It's okay to have a disability. And maybe it's even a beautiful thing. So I've gotten also much better about using mobility aids because CP is very like dynamic. And my foot started to hurt, and I actually got surgery in August. But for a while, it hurt to walk, and so I started using wheelchairs. And I was so ashamed at first, but I can't stop me. I wanted to go apple picking with Mark Winsky, and there I am on a Disney cruise. That's my brother Tim pushing me in a beach wheelchair. Isn't that cool? I love that one. And the middle one is Jason. I went to Mexico City recently, so yeah, I know. So I could literally stop the keynote here. This is like the goal, right? Is to embrace who you are, embrace your stuttering, and be able to just talk and stutter and live a full life and do all the things that are on your heart. So I could totally stop it here, but I thought you might want to learn a little bit about what I've done with my empowered life. Would you guys like to see more? Okay. Thank you. It's going to be different for everybody. Whatever you guys do with your life, your empowered life is what you will do. Here's what I've done. So, like Heather said, I'm a speech therapist. My favorite thing probably is working with people who stutter of all ages. I'm mostly like just on Zoom, and I close the computer, and I'm like, oh yeah, I just changed a couple lives today because I can try to do what Lee did for me, and it feels so good. But I also work full-time at an elementary school in Brooklyn, and like Heather said earlier, I started a disability pride club. And I don't know, but I feel like I might have been the first person to ever do this. And it's like a general ed school. It's not like all the kids have disabilities. Most don't. And so it's open to anybody who wants to learn more about disabilities and be an ally. And the goal is to normalize disability. It's just a part of like human existence. Like 1 out of 10 people have a disability, right? And so they learn about disabilities, find disabled role models, and become allies and activists. What I'm most proud of are the kids who were brave and excited enough to learn more about their disability, to feel differently about their disability, and to share it with the club. How crazy is it that this is happening? So I had a student with CP who was like, I want to talk about CP at the club. And we learned about it together. She showed a video of herself, like after she had had surgery. She talked about how she had scars that she used to want to get removed, but now she doesn't because she thinks they're beautiful. She painted that painting for the club that represents like all different, you know how disabilities have different colors, and stuttering is teal. She put the teal ribbon on there. She's like, that's for your disability. It's so cute. And the flowers are to represent how beautiful disability is. So, yeah, it was really special. And then the next one, these were all during the pandemic. That's why they're on Zoom. He saw her do that. And he was like, I want to do mine on my disability. He has developmental language disability, which was cool for me because I don't. You know, at the CP I did, so that was easy. This one was like, oh, like your speech therapists out there who don't stutter, and you're like, can I do this? You can. You just got to lean into it and be excited to learn about it with the person. So we watched videos, and his mom helped him write out his whole story. And he was most excited, you can't read that, but the slide he made, it says, language disorder is very common. It affects 1 out of 15 kids. He was so happy to learn that he's definitely not alone. I don't think I have time to go through all of these, but I'll just say that they're all life-changing. There's another one about CP. These 2 boys wanted to learn about ADHD and teach about it. It was amazing, and you could just tell from the smiles on their faces what a big deal it was. And of course, we've done it on stuttering, obviously. I had a student who was brave enough to teach the club about stuttering. I got them all to say, it's okay to stutter at the end. We'll watch that. It's okay to stutter! Whoa! And then we had this really cool idea, because his favorite book was I Talk Like a River. Has anyone read that book? It's such a good children's book about stuttering. And it won Best Children's Book of the Year in 2020 from the New York Times. So it's just like a good book in general. And we bought copies for every single class in the school. And we also invited Jordan Scott to come and read the book to the whole school and then answer questions. So the whole school is now educated about stuttering. And very much, thank you. Thank you. I show this to you so you know that it's doable. You know, all the classes gathered around the Promethean board, and he was there on Zoom, and you guys can do this too. And they were transfixed. They thought this was the coolest thing that's ever happened because we were very real with them. We didn't just sugarcoat stuttering. We talked about what it's really like, how hard it can be, and what the experience is. This one's also going to be a loud video. But the next video is I got the entire school to say it's okay to stutter all at the same time. This is just one classroom, but okay, hold your ears. 3. Yay! And the last one just like warms my heart, so I thought I would show it. It's all the kids in the kid who stutters class cheering him on after it was all. And then just to get like a feel for what the kids learned, I also raffled off a book for one per grade. And they like really wanted to win a copy of I Talk Like a River. So they all filled it out. On the back, they had to write something that they learned. And now I have hundreds of little pieces of paper that basically say some iteration of It's Okay to Stutter. This says, it's okay to stutter. Gosh, these are hard to read. I learned that it is okay to stutter and to be who you are. There are many people who stutter, and I think it's cool. Some people have disabilities, and that's okay. That it's okay to stutter, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. I learned that stuttering is natural, and you should not make fun of it. There are a lot of those too, yeah. Oh, so that's like a small, well, not a small project, but within my community. And now I've done some like larger projects and for the world. With a group of people who stutter from around the world, we created a stuttering pride flag. Has anyone ever seen this? Yay! Oh, so many. It was actually somewhat based on I Talk Like a River, in that it's showing that stuttering is natural, kind of like water. Some people, that's just how they talk. And it may even sound like a river, like a bubbling river or a smooth river, things like that. And it's also supposed to show like waves of stuttering pride throughout our community. And I love that picture because we were all, like, as a way to advertise, we were told to go to some place iconic where we live and take a picture with it. And I just look like I'm on top of the world. I love it. And another cool project that I got to be a part of was Jerome Ellis, who was a keynote at Friends last time we were here in Denver. He was commissioned to make a billboard about stuttering for the Whitney Museum in Manhattan, which is amazing. And it was for the biennial, which I didn't know that much about this at the time. If anyone's like an art person, it's a really big deal. So it happens every 2 years. It's happened for a long time. And they find like all the up and coming modern artists. And like Jackson Pollock has been in it, Frida Kahlo, all these amazing people. And now there's something about stuttering. So it says that stuttering can create time. And the idea was to throw the idea that stuttering wastes time, on its head, and that it can create time for vulnerability, for connection to our true selves, for connection with others. And it's in the 3 most commonly spoken languages in New York City, Spanish, Mandarin, and English. And it's in the 3 types of stuttering. There's a block, repetition, and prolongation. So yeah, honestly though, this is really cool, but it's not like the crowning jewel of my story. What I'm most proud of is sort of getting myself back to that little girl who loved to talk, who loved to present, who loved to run and play and just experience life. That's what I'm most proud of, and being able to give that to others. So that's it. Did I do anything else cool? Oh yeah, it was the keynote. I was the keynote of Friends. Yay! Thank you. Thank you. Oh. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Oh, now I'm crying. I was hoping I would cry more. Thank you. I made a QR code so you guys could scan that. It has my email. If you guys want to write me any questions or anything at all. It has a link to the slides and things I've talked about in the presentation. It had, Heather's telling me to follow. Okay, I also have an Instagram, which is on there. I did not forget. Heather said you don't know what you're missing if you're not following me on Instagram. So yeah, I have an Instagram for stuttering and an Instagram for the Disability Pride Club. And I have a personal Instagram. You can follow me that one too. I didn't put that there. But I think Heather wants you to follow my personal Instagram. Yeah, because like she said, I do a lot of fun stuff that is interesting to see. Okay. I don't have a watch. I don't know what time it is. Did I go over? Does anyone? Do we have time for questions? Wow, I did it! All right. Does that mean we have time for questions? Questions or comments? Compliments? Oh, yes. Do I still ever feel shy? Yes. Yes, I do sometimes feel shy. Because those feelings creep back in. So sometimes I have to like remember that it's worth it, to put myself out there. Yeah, definitely. Pointing at, everyone's pointing over there. Hi. Where's, oh gosh, Lee, unfortunately she passed away 2 years ago? 2 years ago. Yeah, I forgot to say that. So Lee was amazing. She founded Friends. This all exists because of her. Yeah, and I was lucky enough to be her client in speech therapy in my early 20s. I didn't even mention I was like 23 in that video, a long time ago. Yeah, thanks for asking. That was important. Yes?
Have a community like this for CP?
Oh, Jenny asked if I have a community like this for CP. I meant to say that. Like, I didn't read any of this, and some things I forgot to say. Yes, it's in its infancy. There's something called Cerebral Palsy Social that I went to for the first time 2 years ago, and it's happening again this October. But it's almost like being a part of Friends when it first started. Like, it's super small, but everyone is really cool, and it was a lot like, when you first come to Friends, you're like, oh God, what is this going to be like? Are these people going to be weird? I don't know. I think stuttering's weird, but like, I was a little like that about the CP thing, and they were all so cool. They were all just like me, just like amazing people. They're doing cool things in the world, and yeah, it was really cool. Yeah, thanks for asking, Jenny. I'm really bad at like seeing hands. Yes.
Well, I wanted to ask my mom, and do any people at your CP play Stutter?
Do any people, at the Cerebral Palsy Social, do any of them stutter? I don't think so, but weirdly, 2 of them are dating or married to someone who stutters. Yeah. One of them is raising her hand over there. She's here with her husband who stutters, yes. Anything else? Yes.
If you're comfortable disclosing this, did you use voluntary stuttering in this presentation?
Yes. The question was, did I use voluntary stuttering in this presentation? It's become part of my speech pattern. So I voluntary stutter, and then when I come to a real stutter, I didn't mention this. Part of voluntary stuttering let me experiment with stuttering and learn different ways I could get through my stutter. So I used to always just push. Like if I came to a B word, I would be butter, right? But I had played with it when voluntary stuttering went butter, utter, whatever. And now when I come to a real stutter, I could, try things out. So that's how it feels. Yeah, a little bit bounce, stretch, yeah. So, yeah, like 50% was voluntary. I don't know. I don't even know. Yeah, no, it really helps me. And someone said up here earlier that it's not like you ever finish. You're always kind of having to remind yourself that this stuttering thing is okay. And for me personally, voluntary stuttering helps me do that. So if I start to struggle more or feel more shame or more shy, I might up my voluntary stuttering because I know it's important for me in my comfortability, yeah. Thank you. I'll disclose anything. Anything else? I like that question. Yeah.
And what's the message you hope that first timers take away from this convention?
The question was what I hope first timers take away from this convention. I guess that it's okay to stutter. I think that's the most powerful thing that I ever heard because I had never thought of that before. So to know that it's okay to stutter, it's just part of how some people talk. 1 out of 100 people just talk this way, and you can let yourself stutter. Yeah. I like that question too. Yeah.
Are you still in touch with any of those people from the apartment party?
Oh, I love that question. Am I still in touch with any of the people from the apartment party? No. But I'm one of them I used to date, and I'm like, he remembers this, I might send him the video. So I haven't thought about doing that. Good question. Anybody else? Yes.
What do you feel like the stuttering community has taught you with regards to your CP?
Oh, such a good question. That's my friend Hope, who has CP too. She asked me what the stuttering community has taught me about my CP. It's taught me that it's okay to embrace differences, that it's good to be vulnerable. Like, those are really big things, you guys, really life-changing things. That it's important to have a community. And there can be a lot of joy in embracing your disabilities, you know. I have so much joy in my life because of stuttering, and I'm starting to have a lot of joy in my life because of my CP too. Like that story I told you about someone telling me I made their day because they helped me cross the street. Like I get a lot of those moments now where it's very connected if I ask for help. And there's shame. It's like a mixture of shame and joy sometimes. And I'm hopefully over time it'll be mostly joy, you know. Yeah. Eric. Last one.
Question?
Go ahead.
No. Oh man, that video really was awesome. Thank you for including that. It was so nice to see that. Well, what was your first, like, it sounded like when we introduced pseudo stuttering to you, it was at the end of the session, it was like our last couple minutes or something.
Yeah.
Do you remember what your first impression was or first thought was when she introduced that idea to you?
Eric's question was, when Lee, my speech therapist, introduced voluntary stuttering to me, what was my first impression? And if I remember, I might be like making this up, but I assume that it was curiosity. And I really trusted Lee. Obviously, I was like just like doing it. And I don't know. I don't remember. I don't. It's hard sometimes to remember exactly what you were thinking at 24. But I'm like not that different from everyone else. I was probably like, oh God, I don't want to do that. I think that was probably, yeah, that was probably it. I think that was it. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's the last one. Thank you, everybody.